Alright, so I'm gonna start half of this off with this intro and then telling you I'm gonna get straight to it, so that's a trigger warning for anything that might happen. Um, that being said, in feminism, when we say that feminism is fighting for all the women, even the ones that are like the most traditional or reactionary, it's kind of like that. If that's a thing, and watch. If it isn't a thing, then some people, even though now you get that with the more modern feminist takes where they critique older ways women clashed. Part of it, they try to put a band aid on and they try to say, don't pit girls against girls. Come on, girl. We're in this together. We're a team. But I like that only because it goes to show you that this faux positivity that women have, where we're all pro women, highlights their personality, their humanity. And the humanity in that is that we, not we, because I'm not a chick, but girls are going to disagree. But that goes to show you, at least I know I'm making a moral judgment, but that's what you get in this pre recorded media. So can't really do anything for you if you don't like that I'm saying this. But like, the true people that are true believers are the ones that hold true for it, even with people that they disagree with. So when I say I do bro code, I really mean it. There are plenty of dudes that I really fucking hate and despise the way they act. But, like any good person in society, I don't make it their problem. I try to give them the benefit of the doubt. Lord knows I'm probably not the best all the time, but when I can control my emotions, I try to do that. But unlike the women, I'm not just throwing bro code around because I know we're different than them. And we're different than them because if we have a disagreement, it's got to get settled right there. Sometimes I don't like that, but a lot of times I can appreciate that. Because with women, they have these like faux proxy wars where it's like you were supposed to analyze the way she said that and you knew she was saying that like in a mean way. And because I'm not that smart, I thank God that I was just born a dude. Things are tough and violent, unfortunately, but at least they're simple. So, with that in mind, I'm about to talk about humanizing the man, thereby and tying into how we humanize the woman. If in your feminism you're only fighting for your fellow pink hat girlies and you're not doing it even for the Oklahoma fucking trad wife, then that's probably not real feminism. That's probably just factionalism and part identity politic bullshit. And like, I have women in my family who I love and adore, but are technically like anti-woman in every other degree. And I love them anyway because they are imperfect, as are most of God's creatures or people on earth. And I hope if you sat through that, then you can get through the rest. Because we're about to go straight through the shit. And we're going to bring up assault. So, trigger warning, essay, harassment of that kind, and whatever else. And granted, this is an older idea that I've had, and I know it's probably been covered on Twitter or some think piece or talking person had said it. But I remember saying this in a conversation with my buddy who was gay. And he talked about advances on almost like it was harassment. And he told me, because there was this gay dude that was like asking me a lot. And it doesn't faze me. My masculinity isn't that thin where I'd have to overreact. But I had to basically tell this guy no a bunch of times. And like, I didn't think nothing of it because I think he was gay. It doesn't mean I think he was lesser. I'm just, in all accounts, not really attracted to men. Um, anyway, like, I had took my gay buddy to tell me, like, yo, this guy's almost coming on too strong, and you should kind of, like, not that it should bother you, it's good that it doesn't, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, just, you know, make it short. If it's a no, it's a no, and cut them off. Basically, like what these chicks tell each other online. You see them like, you give these men too much time. I don't give a man anything past where he doesn't promise me stuff. And like, this was like a cooler guy version of that. But I brought this to my other gay friend's attention. Yeah, I have two. I know that's kind of funny, but we're all bros, and I love my chicks. Anyway, I brought it to him, and he said as well that he's had a few times where, and it's like tough because he, just like me, um, he doesn't really feel anything about it. But his was between two men, mine was like, I don't know, a gender neutral person. But this person was trying, and I'm like, yo, dog, no, not attracted to people that dress like me. But like, no, and the thing that we were highlighting in this conversation is the fact that we are taught, no matter what your orientation is, that as long as you're masked cis-het male or cis male, that you should be grateful, you know what I mean? And like that kind of extends into the gay community, although not really as much as it is with cis-het, which I lamented in my conversation with him, which he also told me, like, we get so numb to this that it's almost concerning. And I told him, like, it's just because we're told at every corner that you should be grateful for the attention you get, or that, like, sex is awesome. And, like, honestly, ask yourself after 100 years of, like, sex being, like, the it thing. I mean, and part of it is natural because we're human, the same way animals desire each other is the same way humans do. So, part of it is natural, and yet the other part is, like, cultural, you know. And I think when we get down to that, what I will say that others won't say is because men are seen as so disposable. That's why harassment and emotion are. Because honestly, think about all the shit they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be worker drones. They're supposed to inseminate the female drones and then to make more workers and shit like that. And you see right away, this is the cold parallel of the woman incubator feminist discourse, which I do really like. I think they should be able to make their own choices. But likewise, if you're a girl and you're listening, this is where we should be able to make ours. And I think that because society's so used to men just being like, okay, yeah, and like limiting themselves for the greater good of society. See what I believe it or not, this is about already starting to mirror the feminist argument. And stay with me, it should. Because the same way we tell women, oh, you shouldn't be out partying, you should have a family. It's the same way they say to men, oh, this guy's 30, well, his time's done, why is he like that? And like, we can't handle either one of them not contributing to the workforce, not contributing. And even on a deeper level, we can't handle rejection from men. You know, that's why I don't agree with, you know, it's fine that you can reject people, but like, there's always like, that man should have been grateful I gave him the time, or this, and that. Even with the gay people, like the bottoms are so annoying and choosy. It's like they picked up the book where the women left off at, and it's like, my pussy, my rules. And I hate that because when it comes to at least me and the cis-het relationships, they act like they're so impeded over. But in the reality, at the end of the day, without them, there's no relationship. And that's kind of like the shittiness, the invisibility of being a man is you're just the one in a million. The same way society tells women they ought to incubate is the same way they tell us you can be replaced. Whether that's at the job, whether that's in your home, whether that's being dad to some kids or not being dad to some kids, all of it is that you're just a cog. And why we didn't have these conversations till now is beyond me. Why didn't we ever question why, you know, see, and I think it's just because it's looked at fundamentally different. So this kind of speech could only come from a dude, because only a dude would look at that. I have my limit with desire, and eventually there's more to me than that. But like women, because it's forced on them so much, go completely sex negative in a way that I don't think I could ever do. You know what I mean? There's many things when it comes to like raising children. There's a lot of things I don't think I could do. That's why it sucks. Like, you know, when a girl doesn't have a mom, she kind of grows rugged. But when the good boy only has a mom, he just kind of grows up to be soft, and like nobody wants to acknowledge that. Maybe we should encourage like it's good if you're a single mom or a single dad, but like I'll always advocate for both because I don't know, psychologically they benefit from both. If you made it through with on a single parent home, that's fine, but psychologically there has to be some shit in there. Like, fuck, dude. That's also why I push for gay adoption. As long as they don't neglect you or do anything else, and they're good parents, I think you need a good setup too. And hopefully they're like the good equilibrium of like not too lenient but not hard asses either. And again, like this conversation's from years ago, and I wrote it down somewhere. I'm probably not remembering. I just want to publish it now because too much time has passed. But like, because men are taught to want it so much, like no dude ever questions that. Like, dude, I like sex, but there should be things and quotes and whatever. What I'm trying to say is there should be a line in the sand that you should not cross just for some pussy. And also, if there's a girl coming on to you, I think we might actually have to take a page out of the women's books and ask yourself, like, did I ask for this? Unfortunately, we also talked about the only way for men to fully understand rape and, like, coming on too strong is when you're taken already and some other broad is trying to come at you real hard. Then, and only then, will a man understand? Because then and only then is when I understand. Like when I'm talking to somebody and somebody else comes on to me, I, knock on wood, I try not to fucking play the field. I know life is complicated and things might change, but I'm not trying to, you know, deceive anybody. But that's not even the point. A lot of times, this comes in when it comes to like guys with girlfriends. I mean, for as far as men seeing that, because once you do, you'll see like I don't want you, but you see that's for a reason, and that's because men are taught you should be grateful, or you should want this, and for some reason we never criticize our media. We just criticize the men. We criticize rappers for having those fantasies, but why do they have those fantasies? Because it's all limited. Because there's echelons of society that can enjoy manhood better or worse depending on how much money they make. But that's not the analysis we go for. We just say, oh, men with power love to abuse it. Like, as if that's the answer. That's just some stupid cartoony reason. Like, you know what I'm saying? And, like, women never question the gold digger aspect of their thing because, I don't know, what for one reason or another they cite, like, prehistoric times, I gotta look for the best provider. Modern times, I gotta look for who's investing in me when I'm. As if life was that boring, like it's a fucking economic firm, and I'm a fucking bookie looking for my best bet. Or even worse, if I'm a fucking investor. Dude, it's. I don't know. I don't think you can. I think data is cool and it helps for a lot, but eventually, kind of just have to do things on your own. I think measurements are cool. Until you start using them to try to define your happiness. So, like, I need a woman with huge breasts, or I need a guy with a huge dick. Like, okay. Thank God I was never that. See what I mean? And you know what sucks? Like, I might express interest in, like, a girl with a huge boobs. But, like, for some reason, online, they pick the most snottiest dude. And then they say, oh, I know all men are like that. And in reality, it's like, fuck, dude, I was right here. But, like, being a pick me guy isn't going to help you because, truth be told, the women just wanted to convert the players into a guy that they can keep. Same thing with the guys. They argue so that they can domesticate a hoe somehow. And both of them are delusional, and both of them think that they can do it. And both of them don't want to say out loud that they don't want an actual guy that meets that criteria. Because in their comment sections, there usually are men and women that fit the criteria. They wanted the specific person that they're hung on, that they're dry posting about, they're dry snitching on, that they're like ghost posting, or what am I trying to say? They're vague posting about. They want that. They don't want to say that. They want that. Oh, what a huge tangent. So, you know what I'm saying? Hopefully, instead of just repeating the word, you know what I'm saying, that you actually do. If not, we'll commence further with the conversation. Because, whether you like it or not, male rape exists, and it does happen. It looks like when you get pulled over by a female cop and she fondles your junk, but you have a girlfriend, so you deny her advances and then she stalks you for 2 weeks after. It looks like when you get Viagra and roofied so that you don't remember and she rides your hard dick and then leaves. Or it happens when you're underage and you claim that somebody made an advance towards you, and then you go to that person that you made the claim on and say, better actually do it or I will, I'll make it worse or whatever. And though these seem like porn plots, they have happened to real people that I know. And I think, unfortunately, to tackle that, you're gonna have to throw away the idea that men should love sex no matter what. You get mad at men for having that in their heads, but they only have it in their heads after 500 years of conditioning of being society's slave. Everyone thought women were society's slaves because they're incubators. No, it's also the men that get forced to be in relationships. It's also the men that get made fun of for being single. You have an ally and a likeness when it comes to your feminist crusade in men, but yet, depending on how old your feminism is, if it's got dust on it and fucking cobwebs, then you don't really give a fuck. And unfortunately, I think your little feminist victories, or this moment right now where you can kind of ride the coattails that meant of male societal expectations and then say men deserve what they get. Men should be happy they even got attention at all. You deserve this pussy in any condition, whether that's old, new, fat, skinny, run down, hardly used. And believe it or not, there are men that don't like all of those, but for different reasons. You know what I mean? I'm not a fan of the virgin idea. I think that's fucking gross. But I also don't know. I've never slept with anybody that was blown out. I've never liked calling people blown out. But I still reserve the right for me and other people to complain about shit like that. Women are hoes, men can be dogs. There's no good side to these. So I don't want to, deify one side and then villainize the other. And that's kind of what you get. So you can't ride this, go die in a war, fuck off feminism and then say that you actually care about male rape because you don't. And then don't blame the men that they don't care about it just because the way they socialize isn't up to your pink fucking guy hat code, your fucking goodest boy code, which is basically a nicer way, and that's my term that I'm coining for white knighting. White knighting was an incel term. I have my thoughts about the incels, but I do agree that now in the nitty gritty of leftism, I don't want to talk to these fucking clones of guys that think they're doing a heckin' good job. And not even all my friends are like that. Some have some aspects of progressivism and some not. So, use that word with caution. You can't just use it as soon as you're pushed back on a view you have of chicks. But at the same time, I'm also loosening the reins on how we brigade people online and in real life. And we basically turn into jumpy people that can't even talk about anything because we think we're doing a good job by quote-unquote shutting down the conversations that don't deserve to happen. So when we acknowledge that men are people and that rape can happen the other way, we also have to tear down the societal expectations the same way we did it for women, which I applaud because you shouldn't have to have a kid. A, if you're not even straight, but B, if you're not even fucking, maybe you're one of those ace or whatever the fuck those are, that's fine. But C, you have your right to your own humanity. But yet, it's like we fought for the women and it's and we all went home. We didn't give a fuck after. Female liberation lies with male. Honestly, all of it is tied back to that. The minute we can stop investing in these YouTubers to think for us, like all your faves, FD, Bad Empanada, the girl that made that, is the same minute the people on the other side can stop investing in Kidology, Tommy Loren, and whatever female version of Fresh and Fit there is. Just like in general, It's like electoral politics. The minute we can stop giving a fuck about the Democrats and the Republicans, which I know there are some good causes that each of them fights, yeah, but they're both made to be shitty on purpose. It's like Instagram, it's all tied together. If we just saw one side stop participating, we would stop as well. And then maybe we can actually have these conversations instead of having organizations that profit off of our answers and fuel us to argue. And that puts money in everybody's pockets because we spend more time alone but messaging each other than we actually are talking to each other. So, tying that all back, the minute we can stop investing on the left so heavily into all of this is the same minute that the right can, and we can all free ourselves. Like when they interviewed all the little Gen Zs or whatever, and or whoever the fuck they interviewed, and they said I would give up Instagram if everybody else did. We can all be the first step, but it's only what you choose to do. And again, that's gotta be on you. And you gotta, first of all, stop labeling yourself. Now that TikTok showed you how dumb labels and genres and everything label is, just fucking leave it. And also, just fucking leave TikTok too, because, like, I don't want print media to die and all of our information gets stored on stuff that gets erased. There's already so many vines and viral videos that I can't find anymore because they literally don't exist anymore. They got deleted. Imagine like a terrible library that just deleted books randomly. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of why yeah, you know what I'm saying? But like, no, in all seriousness, come on guys, like for real. That's all I have to say. The minute we humanize men and we stop this one-sided, false kind of I like when men talk but only when they repeat the shit that I like, stuff that the left is doing, and yet wondering, why are we all losing them? What could have happened? Even though, as a guy in that space, when I go in and I log on and I see the gay comrades just posting shit about my gender all the time as if we're all the same and that they all hate us. You know what I mean? And it's like weird because nobody on the left sees that, where the right actually has somewhat of a valid point when they say, we can broad generalize all day, but the minute you do it, I divest or I have some reason. And like basically we became people that couldn't be talked to, and yet we're acting like we're doing the victory lap. Make that make sense.